Good afternoon, first of all, and wish you all a very happy new year. And in continuation of our webinar series, webinar program,
हाँ मोइले 6 नंबर को पळे आसली मु कुछ पैसा दे देबी फुल पे
this is our webinar program, first webinar program of 2021. And first of all, we hope that this year should be healthy, good for everybody, and we can have a good academic programs this year. And that should not be like 2022, where we had to stuck at our home and nothing in-person meeting we could have. So with this, first of all, I ask Soumya to if she can share the slides of for the introduction.
Yes, sir.
So as Tripti said, this today's program, the topic is rare donor registry, which for this topic, we are talking about on this topic from long time. And now from Dr. Swati Kulkarni's initiative, it looked like this going to take some shape in our country as a program, a nationwide wide program. So for the talk, we have three chairperson today, and all are experts in this field of immunohematology. Dr. Snehata Gupte, Dr. Gupte retired from IIH, Indian Institute of Immunohematology, which is ICMR institute. She retired a few years ago, and after that she was director of Surat Raktadaan Kendra, and she has a huge experience in this field, and she has received a very the valuable fellowship and awards from different agencies, and she have so many publications in her credit. So I request Gupta madam to say a few words about the topic as well as about the YPF program webinar series. Gupta madam.
It's our topic because many times we feel that we need something clinically very important, and many people don't think in the blood banking anything beyond ABO and RH. Under such circumstances, Dr. Swati is looking for rare antigens, and she has been working in NII for a long time. So her initial interest was, of course, genetics of RH blood group system. She has done lots and lots work on this issue, but now I'm sure she will do very good work in this area also. We all are anxious to get to see her achievements in this field of rare donor registry, because she actually in Surat Raktadaan Kendra, with the help of Diagas, I had tried to do that. We used to have Bombay phenotype, dash D dash, RH, null I couldn't get. So so certain groups we used to keep in liquid nitrogen storage, and when a particular patient came, we tried to do, but unfortunately it's very difficult job and we could not do much. I am sure Dr. Swati will help everybody in India in supplying blood units of rare types. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have Dr. Devashish Gupta also to chair this session. Sir is head of the department in transmedicine at Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences and Technology in Trivandrum. And sir, as we all know, sir is the first postgraduate in transfusion medicine and had huge experience of transmedicine in India, outside India, and she has been a leader in various different forum to share knowledge, capacity building in transfusion medicine. And again, over to you, sir, a few words about the topic as well as YPF program, sir.
Thank you, Ankit, and very good evening to all of you, as well as a Happy New Year. It's my pleasure that we are now conducting a webinar under this platform of IPF. It's a very great initiative. The most important thing is in our routine transfusion practices, we occasionally encounter some rare blood group patient for which getting a compatible blood is a very big problem. And this is a long time duration. We have waiting for such an initiative that some rare donor blood group should be registry should be developed in the country so that we can safely and easily manage this patient with the rare blood. Okay, so recently there was an initiative taken by the Kasturba Medical College
For
in
the granulocytes. Definitely we can clarify.
Okay, and I'm sure the initiative taken by the Indian Council of Medical Research to grant a Center of Excellence of Transfusion Medicine to NIH Mumbai, and with the able leadership of Dr. Swati Kulkarni, this program will become a very big success, and the entire country, wherever there is a need for such type of rare blood group, Dr. Kulkarni may be able to help us in getting the right donor and in the right product at the right time. And thank you very much, and wish you all the best, Dr. Swati, for starting this new program. And we are really eager to listen from you what is exactly you are going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have Dr. Sanmukh Joshi, sir, also to chair this session. We all know Dr. Joshi very well. Sir was again a director at Indian Institute of Immunology. Currently, sir is director of Lok Samarpan Blood Bank in Surat, and he has been involved in various research activities in immunology. He himself has discovered few antigens and types in the immunometallurgy, and he has various publications in his credit. So again, I will request Dr. Joshi sir to say a few words about the topic, which is rare donor program and the YPF program. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ankit. I wish good evening to everyone. Rare blood is my dear subject. I have come across to quite a few numbers of rare blood in India, as well as whenever I was working in Oman. And it's very difficult to get rare blood for transfusion purpose whenever a patient comes with the antibody. Now, there are two kinds of rare bloods. One is the one which is high frequency antigen negative and having corresponding antibody. And then it becomes very, very difficult to procure blood for transfusion. Another one is the one with common antigens negative and having multiple antibodies. Then also it becomes a nightmare experience to the blood bank. Actually, what we should do is that we should make a list of the first kind of rare blood with high frequency antigen negative, and whenever we come across to any patient with multiple antibodies, that also we should keep in mind. We should keep the contact of the donors. So whenever such patient comes, then we can use the blood for transfusion. I'm very happy that initiative was taken first on this last October, Blood Donation Day, by Dr. Shammi Shastri from Manipal, and she has constructed one registry program. And now I'm happy that my own institute, that is Institute of Immunohematology, is initiating the lead. I express my good wishes to Dr. Swati to continue the effort and provide the blood in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So with this, we move on to our the topic. And before this, Soumya, do you have any specific announcement?
Yeah, I request we will be sharing the link for the certificate. Everyone is requested to kindly fill up the Google form, and then we can send across the certificates after the session. And we will now proceed on for the main presentation of the day.
So,
So I'll just share Swati ma'am's CV on the slide. Just 1 second.
yes. So, as we know, today's topic is Rare Donor Registry, and speaker for this topic is Dr. Swati Kulkarni. She is working at National Institute of Immunohematology in Mumbai, and she has a special interest in immunohematology, molecular biology. She has received various awards in the field of transfusion medicine from ISBTI, JR Jolly Awards, and so on. And she has so many the publications in her credit, and she has extremely in-depth knowledge about RH blood group system, and I can't forget the day into summer 2007 when she first taught me at IH about RH blood group system. So we are keep listening. She has been teaching us in various conferences at different topics of immunology. So today we are going to listen from her about Rare Donor Registry, the program and the plan, and how it can be implemented in our country and look like the dream which we have been seeing from long time, that India as a huge big country, we should have our own program of Rare Donor Registry will be implemented soon. So first of all, thank you so much for your efforts which you have taken, and congratulations what the work you are doing for to make this dream as a reality for all of us. So over to you, Dr. Swati ma'am.
Thank you, Ankit.
Swati ma'am, please share your screen. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone, and wishing you all a very, very happy, prosperous, and a very healthy year. And thank you for your all the kind words from. I hope you can see my presentation.
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
So thank you all for giving me this opportunity, and of course I thank ICMR for funding us for the Rare Donor Registry. So as you all know, discovery of ABO and RH blood group system has made blood transfusion feasible, and because of RH, the subsequent understanding of the hemolytic disease of the newborn. So although ABO and RH are very important blood group system, in transfusion medicine there are many other blood group systems which need attention while practicing the transfusion medicine because they are of clinical importance. The International Society of Blood Transfusion, as you know, has recognized more than 360 antigens within the 38 blood group systems, and the number of blood group system and antigens are increasing day by day. But only ABO and RHD blood group status of the recipient and blood donors is taken into account while transfusion. So here you can see the blood group system. There are blood group antigens in the blood group system, collections, and series of high and low incidence antigens. So these are the different 38 blood group systems, their name and the symbol and the. So you can see the number of blood group systems which are increasing, and each blood group system has got many blood group antigens. So these are the blood group collections, high frequency antigens, low frequency antigens. I think these are all things all of you know. So now let me come to the clinical significance of blood group antigens. So clinical significance mainly depends on the frequency of a particular antigen in the population, and of course the immunogenicity of that antigen. So as you all know, the D is the most immunogenic, then capital K, and then a series of clinically important blood group system which we are all looking for and which are the common antigens. The frequency, another important thing of clinical significance is the frequency with which the alloantibodies occur in the system. And the characteristics of the alloantibody, namely the antibodies of IgM class or IgG class. If IgG, then the subclasses of the antibody, then the thermal range, and ability to fix the complement. So all these characteristics in turn determine the capacity of the antibody to cause red cell destruction and to be transferred across placenta to called HDN. So the clinical importance depends on many of these factors. So these are the clinically significant alloantibodies, which are usually significant. Sometimes they are predominantly intravascular hemolysis, causing intravascular hemolysis. Some cases extravascular hemolysis. Some are rarely significant with low thermal amplitude. So these all antibodies are known. Irrespective of all these antibodies, there are certain antibodies whose specificity we have not identified, and we do not know the clinical significance. As the number of blood group antigens have increased, we may get more number of antibodies. Then let me come to the alloimmunization. The transfused patient is at the risk of alloimmunization. That is what all of us know. This is due to the disparity of antigen profile between the donor and recipient, and also due to the immunogenicity of the foreign antigens and the number and frequency of transfusion. Because as you know, in thalassemics, as they are transfused quite early, the frequency of alloimmunization is quite higher. The retrospective studies have noted that the frequency of transfusion in general population is 1 to 3%, and in multi-transfused patient it is 10 to 38% and can go as high as 60 to 70%, depending on the genetic diversity between the patient and the donors, especially if the patient and donor are from different races or different ethnic populations. The blood transfusion can also predispose patient for antibodies, develop autoimmune hemolytic anemia, and increased hemolysis of transfused RBC.
The usage of granulocyte is
one third of these patients
very less. It becomes the leaking in RCT.
So in the table also you can see the percentage. These are the potential of these blood group antibodies to cause potential of these antigens to cause to have antibodies if the person is transfused with these antigens. So this gives you the incidence of alloimmunizations in thalassemics in India. So you can say the incidence is nearly from 2% to nearly 10%. And you can see the specificity of antibodies is mostly the Rh blood group system and some other blood group system. But still you can see there are many antibodies where the specificity is still not identified. And you may get pan-agglutination reaction. So the major challenge in transfusion medicine is to provide compatible blood to patients who have produced multiple antibodies, are negative for high frequency antigens, have a single or combination of alloantibodies against common antigen. I think Dr. Joshi has already told some of them. So what are the technical difficulties? In place, what happens, antibody screening and identification is not performed routinely in many blood banks in India. And the problems come to light when it is difficult to obtain compatible donors for the patient. So, and wherever the antibody screening, cross-matching is also done, somewhere the cross-matching is done by saline method and not by indirect antiglobulin test method. And even if the antibody screening and identification is done, the blood is selected by cross-matching with large number of donors because no database of all blood group antigen profile of repetitive or regular donors is present. That means you don't have an antigen negative inventory, and of course, the donors who are negative for high frequency antigens, the rare donors are also not there, as the rare donor registry is not there. I'm in general telling that the donor registry is not there because I think the registry in a systematic way is not there. Everyone has on his own have certain registry, but as a full Indian subcontinent, you don't have a registry. So to facilitate the provision of compatible blood for such patients, a network of national, of course, first I think local, regional, national, and international blood donor panel has to be there. And of course, if we can have a cryopreserved red blood cell units, if required, for very rare blood groups. So now, who is a rare donor? As we said, the donor who lacks high frequency antigen or the prevalence is 1 in 1,000 or less. This is, I think, the regular definition of rare donor what is given. By a donor negative for combination of common antigens, that may be the frequency may vary from 1 in 200 to 1 in 1,000, can also be class A, because individually these antigens may not be rare. But a combined phenotype, you may not be able to identify antigen negative blood for the combined phenotype. Then a rare blood group can be a null phenotype. Null phenotype, I think, is a very, very rare blood group. Then homozygous for infrequent N30 antigen, or negative for the combination of common antigens. So these are always a definition. But in many countries, the phenotype frequency of less than 1% of the population is also considered rare. Because if we have a person who has to be cross-matched with nearly 100 donors to get one unit, then that is also a laborious process. So that person, that phenotype can also be called as rare. Also, if the individual's antigen profile differs from majority of the population of that country, that also can be brought today. So you can understand there are so many definitions of a rare phenotype. So definition of the rare phenotype varies from country to country. So as a very common example will be the RHD negative, which is very common in Caucasians, that's 15 to 17%. But in East Asians, the same incidence is less than 1%. So in East Asian, the D negative will be called as rare, but in Caucasians, it will be quite a common phenotype. The same applies with for some many blood group antigens, because I think the frequency of all the blood group antigens varies from population to population. Then I'm just giving a few examples. The rare donors for American Rare Donor Program. See, you can say for the combination of antigens, they have group ONA 11, which is R1R1, R2R2, R0 smaller or smaller, with KEL negative, Duffy negative, Duffy B negative, TK negative. So they have formulated their own different phenotypes and called them rare. Similarly, in French donor registry, the prevalence of equal or less than 250 is considered rare. So you can understand, someone give 1000, some may give in combination like that. But according to me, the timely supply of the antigen negative unit of higher prevalence can also be challenging. So we have to define the rare donors for our Indian population. As you know, the ethnicity plays an important role, because as you all know, we are more likely to have the same blood type with someone with the same ethnic background. Then let us come to the global efforts toward creation of the registry. So in 1959, long ago, American Association of Blood Banks and American Red Cross developed a rare donor registry. In 1965, International Rare Donor Panel was a joint initiative of WHO and International Society of Transfusion. And the compilation and maintenance of this panel was done by the International Blood Group Reference Laboratory at Bristol. And this IDP facilitates the provision of rare blood units throughout the world. This was actually started in 1965. At that time, they had, I think, only 300 donors from 10 countries. Then I think in 1985, they went to 1,500 donors from 12 to 15 countries. And now they contain more than 800 donors details from 27 countries. And frozen unit inventories of blood bank and frozen blood unit inventories are also available. So you can understand the 27 countries are already in the international donor panel and are contributing to this, and many small countries from throughout the world are contributing. So as India is a large country, I think it's high time we contribute to have our own donor registry and contribute to the international panel. And actually, the ISBT working party of rare donors was also has also developed an organized approach for developing the guidelines for all matter related to use, labeling, testing, and transport of blood, providing a resource for ongoing information on topic, communicating with WHO, IBGRL, upgrading the international information on rare blood program, and to increase the knowledge regarding the problems of rare blood group supply. And all this work of ISBT working party has led to increased contribution to the international donor panel. The rare donors in the international donor panel may be accessed by authorized user using the website. You have to send the access. You have to send a mail. Then, if your access is request, your access request is if the access research is okay, then you can go and search for the rare donor. Then role of IPGRL is to compile the information of rare donors and identify the centers around the world and making this information available to rare blood whenever needed. So these are all the list of the contributing countries and the name of the contact persons in that countries where the donor registry can be made. In India, though few centers have a list of Bombay blood group donors, but no systematic nationwide program to create rare blood donor registry is existing. So let me come to the national statistics. The population in India is 133 crores. There are more than 2,760 licensed blood banks with more than 1,200 road accidents, 60 million surgeries, 240 million major operations, 331 million cancer-related procedures, 10 million pregnancy complications. All these require serious call for blood transfusion. And I think you all will agree a well-structured and effective blood transfusion service is vital for healthcare delivery system. Why the need of rare blood donor registry in India? The blood transfusion, as we know, ABO and RHD match for minor antigens, they're not routinely tested. I think in some institutions now they have started testing for RH and KEL antigen, but approximately 2 to maybe 20% blood recipients get eliminized due to exposure of genetically different RBCs, especially the multi-transfused patients. Many blood banks, the blood units are transfused even after saline cross-match. I think we have been conducting training program for years, but still this problem exists in our country. Then antibody screening and identification is not performed by majority of the blood banks. I think only few or some blood banks, at least they are now initially started, and mostly the metro cities or big hospital blood banks or corporate hospital blood banks are now doing antibody screening and identification. The problem arises when the patient lacks one or two high frequency antigens, lacks one or two high frequency antigens, or require or has antibodies against these antigens. In case of alumnus patient, cross-matching with a large number of donors is needed to perform as antigen negative inventory. As I already said, the problem is when if you're doing antibody screening or you're doing cross-matching, all this, because we don't have an antigen negative inventory of donors, you may take time and delay. So donor screening, when you start at a later stage, when the things are needed, delays the transfusion process, leads to the cancellation of the pending operation, and to receive the compatible blood from the other registries around the world may take several days. And they have different logistics also. And the cryopreserved unit which is obtained has to be washed, resuspended, and can lead to a blood unit which is less effective compared to fresh unit. So sometimes very rare blood which is not available in the country, international cooperation is really essential. But for some blood donors, when they are available in the country, a more organized approach is actually the need of the hour. Also, the identification of rare donors, negative for high frequency antigen and their combination is essential, as the frequency of these antigens and antibodies produced by the Indian patient will be different. So whatever we call as the rare donors in some particular population may not rare donors in our population. So as you know, Duffy A negative, B negative is quite common in Africans, but it is very rare in Indians. So a sufficient stock, I can say, a sufficient stock of pre-tagged donors and database enables the short response time for the provision of blood units requested and prevents acute on-demand typing. I think this is the thing for what we need a registry in our country. And database to some extent is prepared by different blood banks in different regions for some fixed antigens, but a database in a systematic and a compiled way will lead to the formation of registry in our country. Now we need a registry. I think you all agree, and I think everyone started with that view. We need a registry, and of course, our institute has also been trying for a very long time. Because of funding problems, we actually had delayed the things, but now we have been funded by ICMR. So identification of rare donors is a critical factor for establishing rare donor registry. So how the rare donors can be identified? During cross-matching, when compatible blood is not available, while performing antibody screening on patients or donor serum or during deliberate screening programs for detection of rare groups. So all these three methods, the rare donors are identified. So when the patient's blood is not compatible with large number of donors or has produced multiple antibodies, the samples should be sent to the reference laboratory, regional transfusion center, so that the further workup is done and performed and the rare blood group identified and included in the registry. So what happens? The transfusion is over. Somehow the clinical persons manages the transfusion and then the things are not looked after and we miss many times the donor or the antibodies which are identified, especially in the Indian population. So the things don't come to the registry because it's not a teamwork or a combined effort by all the blood banks throughout India. Then screening for rare donors. So mass screening can be done for common antigens. Common antigens, I think for RH, KIT, Duffy, MNS, I think here the anti-sera are available. So most of this can be done in young O group individuals especially. And also the mass screening can be done for the absence of single or combination of high frequency antigens by testing only few antigens. This all can be lead us to have a more number of rare donors. So which antigens should the donor be typed of? Because see, as I told you, there are 38 blood group system, more than 360 antigens. Some clinically important antigens we all know, which are existing. But what are the antigens which are of clinical importance and of more regular occurrence in Indian population? That has to be seen. So the antigens should be looked which use alloimmunization and what is its prevalence in our population and the clinical significance of the alloantibody against it. So actually this was reported from France and Australia. Everyone should be screening for the most treated rare blood group in their own region. So I think you all will agree. I think the rare blood group in our most of the and most sought out after is the Bombay blood group. So anyone will screen for Bombay blood groups more than any other rare blood group in our country. So now let me come to the blood group antigen typing methods which can be used. Hemagglutination, all the serological methods, I think they are age old and they have been existing over a century and are very simple. Only because the anti-sera against the common antigen of some blood group antigen system is available, but there is unavailability of reliable anti-sera and especially in large volumes for many other blood group systems which we want to check, and we prepare do screening and prepare a rare donor registry, but the anti-sera are not available, or if they are available for some blood group systems, they are very costly. Then because of this, only small number of donors have been typed for few antigens, even in India. Then molecular genotyping. Now we know molecular basis of all major blood group systems have now been determined, and the blood group genotyping is already a common practice where serological typing is impossible due to multiple transfusion or problematic serology, and especially in the cases where the donor red cells are always in the population in multi-transfused patients like thalassemia. So genotyping on a mass scale to identify rare donors has started in developed countries and reference laboratories. See, most of the blood group antigen are a result of single nucleotide polymorphism. So these SNPs have been identified at molecular level and using various molecular techniques. So there are some low or medium throughput techniques like TCR-SSP, very, very simple techniques, plus medium throughput techniques like RT-PCR or Sanger sequencing are already used for knowing the blood group antigens. But in this, what happens? You can look for few antigens, or at the most multiplex PCR, you can view bit more number of antigens at one time. But now high throughput methods, it makes it possible to determine the multiple RBC antigens simultaneously. So there are now a number of commercial platforms which are available, and now the next generation sequencing, we can actually look for all more than 300 and more than 360 antigens at one flow, at one go. Though it is bit costly affair. So now, whether it's by serological method or by any genotyping method, once we can say, okay, the rare donor is identified. What next? To have the contact details of the rare donors, the telephone number, address, Of course, this is a task to get updated regularly because the phone numbers change, address change, people move on. Then even typing for the other minor group antigens, some of the rare donors which were identified by us quite early. That time we didn't have any method to type many other minor antigens of that rare blood group. But now, due to the after we are having genotyping assays with us, now we can type for many minor group antigens. So another thing is we have to type for all the other minor antigens, and you can also know the genetic basis of that rare blood groups in at least in our Indian population. Then counseling of the donors, screening of the family members of rare blood group and prospective rare donors. And of course, if you have development of a cryopreservation facility and if the facility is available, encourage the rare donors to donate regularly. So provision of compatible donors, how the provision can be done from family members, autologous transfusion, regional rare donor registry, national rare donor registry, and then if not possible, the international rare donor panel. Whom to approach for obtaining rare blood? As I told you, local blood bank, then regional, national, then international donor program, then donor programs of other countries. But what happens, as I told you, the rare donors may be different in different countries. So some rare donors like RS-null may be very rare in all the countries. But except for the null phenotype, many other blood group system, the rare phenotypes are different in different countries. So if you want if you want a A negative blood, so you are more likely to get this blood from the African rare donor program and not from the Indian rare donor program. And then you can choose the different rare donor programs worldwide, which are already existing. So towards creation of Indian rare donor registry, with all this aim and with all this introduction and with the efforts of, I think, many years and actually the guidance from our Director General ICMR and my director of the institute, Dr. Manisha Madkaikar, we have initiated work on preparing a national rare donor registry for India. Actually, it is at a very nascent stage. So I invite active participation and support from all blood banks to make this a success. I think this is not a one person's job to make it successful. I think the coordination and efforts of all the blood banks is very much essential for anything to go at a national level. So ultimately, we need a database of donors type for all blood group antigens in Indian population. So many blood group antigens, the frequency also we have not known. And then we can contribute to the international or rare donor party. And I think that is, I think we are quite ahead in many fields throughout the world. So I think in transfusion medicine, we have to come, we are lagging somewhere behind and we have to come back. So need of the hour to have a list of pre-typed donors for all blood group antigens. This will help to identify rare donors for provision of antigen matched blood. Why we want to give antigen matched blood, especially to thalassemia patients. This will improve the transfusion therapy by reducing the incidence of alloimmunization. And in alloimmunization patient, it will reduce the chance of producing more antibodies because now they are responder to the some antigens. Then to develop the indigenous red cell panel for antibody identification. I think this is one of the very important aspects of our program. The commercial red cell panels identifies which is available and many of us use, identifies common blood group antibodies, but almost 14 to 36% of the antibodies are not identified, and this has been reported by different Indian papers. And the panel lacks, because the panel lacks antigen positive cells prevalent in our population. So we need to screen patients for the blood group antibodies through this indigenous panel, of course. Then extended phenotyping for all blood group antigens, so that in the donors and get antigen matched blood and provide this to specially to multi-transfused patients. And this will in turn reduce the incidence of alloimmunization and maybe the patient may require less transfusion also next time. So I think this is just a timeline of our institute. So you all know Discovery of Bombay Phenotype by Dr. Bhatia, I think the founder of our institute in 1952. And because of this discovery of Bombay Phenotype, it led ICMR to work to know that there should be some blood group, there should be some research centers who is going to work on blood group, and the Blood Group Reference Center was created in 1957 by ICMR. Then the next step, of course, I have not included each and every step, but broadly what the institute has done over the years. 1961, the annual training program of blood banking personnel was started. So you can understand this is the 60th year of our program, and more than 1,200, and I think many more have been trained by institute, and many of the blood banks, and I think many of the stalwarts at present in transfusion medicine are the students of our training program or institute, and my all initial seniors have trained them. And I'm very proud everyone remembers, oh, we had come to the institute in that particular batch and that particular batch. Sometimes I forget the names, but they always remember me. Then the discovery of INA or Indian Blood Group System by Dr. Badakare in 1973. That was the next big step for the institute in the transfusion medicine. Then in 1982, due to the because the institute also worked in some had some other activities in the different field and were not only limited to blood group. The institute was renamed as National Institute of Institute of Immunomatology. And after getting many of the awards on national and international levels, it was renamed as National Institute of Immunomatology in 2008. But I still remember most of the stalwarts in transfusion medicine still call it as IIH and not as NIIH. So now we are a National Institute of Immunomatology. And then in 2000, actually, I, with my departmental colleagues, set up molecular immunomatology lab. Started. We initiated initiated it in a very simple way, and now we have come a long way. Then in 2017, a novel week RHD allele. I think everyone knows me for more of my work on RH blood group system. So a novel weak RHD allele was identified in our population, and we developed a indigenous RHD genotyping assay for weak D alleles, and we have already filed a patent in Europe. So this I think weak D allele is quite common in our population, had not identified earlier, and the mechanism of causing of this weak D was also something very novel. So all these studies were done in 2017, and in 2019, the major we got Center of Excellence in Transfusion Medicine by ICMR after I think the efforts for all the department of the transfusion medicine, as well the efforts of all the directors and also of the previous directors who have tried us to get a rare donor registry for years, but I think it had to happen in 2019. So with all the blessing of all the directors and also the blessing with the current DG ICMR, we received the Center of Excellence funding for Center of Excellence funding. So this is my team at the Transfusion Medicine Department, ICMR NH. So I think you all know teamwork makes the dream work. So I think it's my dream to have a rare donor registry. So with my team, I think that dream will be possible. And then down the photograph of my gurus, without whose blessings, I would have not been here. So I think they are the ones who have taught me a lot of things, along with many other people in the institute or many other seniors in the institute who have helped me to come to the stage where I am, and continuously encouraging me to do more and more work. And of course, I thank my team for whatever efforts we have done, and especially my students. I think I am nothing without them. So ICMR NIH, Center of Excellence in Advanced Research in Immunomatology and Transfusion Medicine, and create a National Rare Donor Registry funded by ICMR. the main aim is to study different immunomatological aspects of blood banking in India with the vision to develop molecular immunomatology reference laboratory. So this is the main aim of the Center of Excellence. So under the capacity building, the main aim, as I told, molecular immunomatology reference lab. So the main work or the main priority area is to establish the cost-effective NGS facilities for blood group genotyping. Of course, I think that's what we are all waiting for. Develop a database of blood group antigen profile of regular donors, to develop national rare donor registry, to determine the frequency of all minor blood group antigens. Of course, I'm a research person, so interested in identifying novel alleles, and for all the blood banks in India, prepare indigenous red cell panels to be used. So there that would be the application of our blood group genotyping of the registry. Then under human resource development, we have to train manpower. And now, actually, basic immunomatological, we have always been training. Now, we have to train manpower in advanced immunomatology. All this work will be done under this 5 research-driven projects. So I will limit to this, and I will directly go to our project on the National Rare Donors Registry of India. So ICMR, NIH, in collaboration with 4 challenge of creating National Rare Donor Registry for Indian population. That doesn't mean only these 4 centers. They are the 4 regional coordinators we have, but all the blood banks have to be taken along for preparing the donor registry. So don't consider it there are only 4 centers. So the PGI Chandigarh, JIPMER, Medical College Hospital Calcutta, and ICMR. Because ICMR wanted to choose 4 centers from 4 different parts of the country, the east, west, north, south. So that was the condition to why these are being chosen. And they are the big transfusion centers with, I think, very large donor setup. So understanding the our rare donor registry comes under the project of understanding the phenotypic and genotypic variability in different clinically important blood group systems and its application in the development of population-specific red cell panels and rare donor registry. So we have to develop the database of all blood group antigens in regular Indian blood donors from 4 different regions of India. An electronic database, this can be done by both. We are going to do by serological methods where the phenotyping sera is available, and by genotyping methods for all the other 300 antigens where the sera is not available. So for this we have to establish the NGS for blood group genotyping, and this will also determine the genotypic frequency of common antigens for all blood group systems. So we will know which are the high incidence or low incidence antigens we have never looked for. Of course, National Rare Donor Registry will be prepared, and to prepare an indigenous red cell panel for screening and identification of alloantibodies against which antigens are made in Indian population, against the antigens prepared in India, and we'll try to provide the reagent panel to different Indian blood banks and laboratories. And of course, to join and contribute towards International Rare Donor Panel. So in phase 1, we will determine the blood group antigen profiles and determine the reagent red cell panel. We prepare the reagent red cell panel, and in phase 2 will be the utilization of the panel and compilation of the national database. So donor recruitment will be done in all the 4 centers, then extended phenotyping by serological methods where the anti-sera is available, then genotyping by NGS, and this all will be able, from all this, we'll be able to have a database of rare donors, a database for all blood group antigen profile of regular O group donors, and identify rare donors. So this will lead us to create a registry, antigen negative inventory as well. Then from this database, we'll develop indigenous red cell panel, and this indigenous red cell panel will be distributed and will be used to identify antibodies and identify new rare donors also in turn. And the rare donors identify, the family studies will be done to have more rare donors which are actually unique. So identification of rare donors will be done by all the methods, by screening, family study, and also by resolving the complex serological cases for antibody identification. And all these ultimately we will have to define the rare blood group for our Indian population. I will not go much in the detail, but our main priority as a research institute is to establish the NGS facility for blood group genotyping, and already a panel of 42 blood group genes for more than 300 antigens of 36 blood group system has been designed. And you can see the genes in the table, and this is the protocol of NGS. We will not go into detail, but all these will prepare a database of all blood group antigens and frequency in our Indian population. And this database can lead us to find the high incidence and low incidence antigens in our population. Also, we can later find whether these antigens are of clinical importance or not of clinical importance. And these antigen positive donors, antigen positive red cells can help us in future to identify the specificity of antibodies, which we have not been identifying by the panel or commercial panel which we are using. So this is one of the main aspects, research aspect of our establishing the NGS facilities for blood group genotype. So output of the project, database of fully antigen profiled O group regular donors, antigen negative donor. They can be used for combination of common antigen negative samples, especially in multi-transfer sample where we can produce multiple antibodies. Then panel donors for, as I already told you, for identification of antibodies. Then rare donors, maybe Bombay phenotype negative, or many more other rare donors, and very rare donors. See, until we see the full database of the antigen profile in our country, we may not be able to know what can be called a rare, what can be called a very rare, or very rare for the combination of antigens. So creating a comprehensive and dedicated national database with genomic profile of blood group antigens in donors in India is our priority. So these are some of the photographs of our camps, and also we have for some of our centers they are done. These are some of our panel donors, which are very important to identify the specificity. So up till now, we have done more than 1,000 O group regular donors have been recruited, and at present, antibodies, the antigen profile for 22 clinically important blood group antigens of 8 blood group system has been known. And as you can see, this is the frequency of blood group antigens we have done. So some of the high frequency, negative for high frequency antigens and all we have identified. So these are the high frequency antigens, I think all know. So these are the common antigens which this is the work what we have already done. That's what I'm telling you. Then among the RH system, the D negative, the incidence was 4.4%. So you know, small e is the high incidence antigen. Still, as many as I think 8 donors we have identified who are negative for the high incidence antigen E. So these come into the category of rare donors. Then we have other RH phenotype. One weak RH individual also was identified. And this is the incidence of percentage distribution of different RH phenotype among blood donors. So this is the frequency of common phenotypes in the blood group systems, which are already known. I think some of the blood group system antigen frequency has been known, but I'm just showing you for the donors what we have tested. Then all these blood group system, the frequency, though when more line number is done, I'll tell you, but we also tested among these 1,000 blood donors, some 500 blood donors, we did genotyping for Wittenberg antigen and Indian blood group system antigens. And we got one donor which was found to be MIA positive, and there were 7 donors which were INA A positive, B positive. So these positive for this antigens will be used for panel to identify antibody against these antigens. So this is just to give a list for antigen negative inventory where they lack 2 common antigens. So you can see the frequency. Some lacking 2 antigens, some lacking 3 antigens, and 4 antigens. Of course, full complete analysis has not done yet by us, And we will, if you will go and see, in some cases you will have more and more negative for more 4 or 5 common antigens. So they can be in fact called as the rare donors. Then reagent red cell panels. So as I already told you, the commercially available reagent panels are mostly produced in the Western countries and are supplied to us. Of course, they are like less. And these panels are sufficient to characterize the commonly encountered alloantibodies. I think that all of us know. But the specificity of 14 to 36%, as I told you, sometimes the antibodies are not identified. Why these antibodies are not identified, or if for identification it requires more time-consuming process? Because they lack antigens positive cells in the panel which are prevalent in our population, or pan-agglutination reaction due to absence of high-frequency antigen negative cells. Then the antigen negative cells for a combination of common antigens, and also the population screening to identify clinically important antigens which immunize against which immunization can occur, and prepare indigenous reagent panel accordingly. So if we find the antibody specificity after using the panel, if we find the antibody specificity against antibodies against the PRIX antigens are produced more likely, not the regular clinically important antigens. If antigens are produced more likely, we can produce red cell panel, include the red cell, that antigen in that red cell panel, and to get the specificity of more number of antibodies in the Indian population. Also, the local indigenous and in-house panel will be more cost effective and will of course identify more number of, find a specificity of more number of antibodies. So at present, from whatever work we have done, we have produced 3-4 indigenous red cell panels were prepared, and one is like a commercial panel for what you have seen, and another panel at present we have included MIA positive cells and INA positive cells, so that we will send this to different blood banks, so that especially the multi-transfused or multiparous women will be screened with this red cell panel if the antibodies have been produced against them. So indigenous red cell panel will be identified by our Indian Rare Donor Registry Program. Provision of the panel donors to 4 regional centers. They will select blood banks who at present, at least initially, who are already performing antibody screening routinely. They will distribute these panels to the locally, and then carry out the antibody studies and the report. If some antibody screening is present, the sample can be sent for antibody specificity in the regional center, or can be sent to the reference center at us. So, and you can also send the problematic cases to the reference center anyway, through cross-matching also. And the report will be again going to them. And if the individual is found, if some specificity is found rare, and then the family studies will be done. And if the donor is rare, then he will be put in the rare donor registry. Then I think Bombay phenotype, I think this is one of the rare donors we all know. So registry of Bombay phenotype individuals at NIH, I think it's last 5 decades. The donors are contacted for donation whenever they are requested. New donors are identified by performing family studies, and mostly in our institute, every year we at least have 10 cases of Bombay phenotype in our institute every year, new cases. And the donor patient, but the donor patient ratio is 1 in 4. So you have 1 patient and you have 1 donor, you have 4 patients. So it's not actually very easy to get the donor in the time when we need. So up till now, maybe I think more than 300 Bombay phenotype donors have been identified in our institute over years, but that donors who are actually donating regularly are over 50. Rest are the patients, females, old age people, or not donating, on this list of misplaced to follow up. Then there are 5 Bombay RH negative donors. Here are some of the very, very rare donors who are Bombay negative. So what is precious should be utilized with care. I think that is the approach we should have. Then we have another set of rare donors. I'm not putting everything at present because we have to still screen a large number. Then 15 para Bombay, 2 RH null, 13 detached phenotyping, then 3 P null cases we have, and they belong to all A, B, and O blood group. And I think all of you must be knowing we had supplied penal blood to Kochi, AIMS. I think Dr. Veena Shenoy, especially in the pandemic in July. So that was it. And I think last week we supplied one more unit to them. And this donor, CVMR in Mumbai, and the donor was in Nasik, and the patient was in Pune. So for this, all you need a systematic donor registry to know. Then we have one capital S negative, small s negative, and capital U negative. And this individual, this lady actually is ARH negative also. So you can say we actually contacted IBGRL for this, and this I think only one more donor in the IBGRL list is ARH negative, S negative, small s negative, and U negative. So you can understand how much they are. But somehow they are not very cooperative for giving blood. And I would have recommended them first for putting them in the registry. Then there are many other rare RH phenotypes which are named R2R2, R prime mola, R double prime mola. Then detached phenotype also, we have got now more than 14 donors, 14 known people, and they are of all different phenotypes, different ABO blood groups. And in the other table, there are RH blood types which were discovered in last 1 year. So we have discovered D-, CG-, penal, Bombay positive 7, Bombay negative 1, and BICO variants also we have put 8. And of course, I think all of you know now we are doing molecular typing for rare phenotypes also. We have done for Bombay, Para-Bombay, RH deficiency phenotypes like RH null, D-. I think you all have been sending us samples. Then BICO variants of APO, G variants, and very rare phenotypes like penal and SS U negative. So all these, the molecular phenotyping we have been doing, and after we standardize the NGS, I think it will be more better in our work in recognizing the molecular basis of the very rare blood group. So I think this is what this is I think the slide all must be waiting for, the roadmap. So this is the approximate with more roadmap. What I am telling you. If you have a need for rare blood arises in your local blood bank and the blood is not available locally, then what to do? Then you have to contact the website of the Indian Rare Donor Registry, which we are in the process of preparing. You have to mail us to have the access of the registry. And if the request of your access is said yes, then we will give, you can log in, and then you can look for the rare donor availability from the website. How I will tell you. Then this if the rare donor is available, you will know where the donor is available, and then we can contact the regional center, and the regional center will verify the request, and also actually the testing and all has also to be done whether the individual is really area or the rare blood group is really required, and the regional centers will contact the respective contributor of that rare donor. So contributor will also be contacted. Then contributor will recruit the rare blood units and collect the blood units. The transport and the logistics will be monitored by Indian by the Indian Rare Donor Registry, and the complete when the blood is then the request will be complete. So this is the approximate roadmap. Don't think on very much detail. The details have still to be going on, and I think I will require all your views to go in the details, because I think I am more working in a research institute, but you all are working in blood banks, so you can all guide me how to go about in the search of blood group, and what are the lacunae in all this which we are facing. So this is one of the mock website we have prepared for Indian Rare Donor Registry. So you first will have to email us to access the registry. If your request is said yes, then you have to sign in. You have to enter the password, enter the code word. I think this is all digital, so all this has to be done. Approximately what we are doing in some other websites also. Then once you enter the website, you will get the user guidelines, how to use the user manual will be there. How to find the rare blood after when you come after enter the website, how the rare donor has to be identified. So the guidelines will be there. So after the guidelines, this is just I'm just showing you the menu. These are the tabs, different tabs which will be there. So if you want, your main aim at present is to search rare blood. So if you press this button or rare blood, you will get many filter options. Then you will find ABO blood groups. So you find which ABO blood group donor you are interested in, whether it's all O, A, O, or A, or B, or OH, whatever is there. So this is the filter options. So this will be the first for ABO blood groups. The next filter option will be the rarity. When you want a O group individuals who is Duffy A negative, B negative. So you have to go for the rarity of Duffy A negative, B negative. Here you see. Or you can go for the rarity where the high frequency antigen D and small e are absent. So you can see here, both the D and C are absent here. So you can choose the rarity what you want. Then you can look for the antigens negative which you want. Means if the person has produced antibody against some other antigens in a multi-transfused patient. So if you have antibody against the capital C antigen, you can click here. Small c antigen, you can click here. Or some other antigens, you can click here. There will be a number of antigens. This is a MOX website, so don't go for specific things. Also, if you want to search a rare donor, ABO group you put, you don't want the individual who is so rare. You want only antigen negative. So you can only click for the ABO filter option and again go to filter option negative for the particular option. And then you have to just submit it. So whether the rare donors are available or not, that will be identified. Then on the donor location will be shown on the map. So you can see the map. Now the donors are location is shown in Maharashtra. So now you can click on any one of them which is more regionally there, or your city is near that, or your location is near that, or sometimes you may find it far only. So you can choose among these 5 whatever is available. Then this click you will get the donor code for us, and we will tell you whether this thing is available or not. Then you have to fill a requisition form to get this donor. Then I think it's a long process. Complete detail I may not be able to tell, but we may go to the regional center. The regional center will go to the contributor, and contributor will do all the logistic of blood collection and the logistic of transport and all other pneumatic, even testing, all will be done at one particular center, and the blood will be transported. Of course, the institute and our rare donor panel, all members, that I'll tell you how it will be done. So all these things will be located like that. So from the map, at least you will be able to identify where the rare donor is. Then see, you are a user in the rare donor. So your search history also you will get. Means up till now you have been an access user. So you have used or you have accessed this rare donor, and what you have used or what search history you have done over the time, with the date, with the ABO criteria, which antigen negative, what rare that could be identified, everything will come in the user history search. This is one of the main things of the rare donor history. That's a contributor history. If you want to contribute to the rare donor registry, here you can contribute to website giving the institutional details. You have to send all your institutional details to the website. The next step will be the donor units. So your institution, whatever your or donor units have been contributed, or the donor's name has rare blood has been communicated by your institution, will all come in this rare units of your institute, but your donor details of your particular institute. Of course, the details of the donors and the personal details of the donors will never be put on the website. So that I think that all of you know. So that all things will be. You will have some code number. So if donor unit, if you have to add a single rare donor, if you have to say add one single rare donor unit, you will get something like that, and then you can give the detail of your donor, whether it's capital C positive, capital E negative, capital K positive, or negative. So you can all enter all the data. You can enter the other rarities also with this, and then you can submit a single rare donor. But if you have a bulk of rare donors, that the bulk of rare donors also can be uploaded. There will be an option for that. Then if the rare units, if you have some rare units, and then while entering you have made some mistake, you can edit the data. And of course, there's always the column for deletion of rare donor. Maybe the donor was donating early. Now he's not ready for donating. He's not well, or he's no more. So the deletion of rare donor. And here, in fact, once the donor has donated, for the next 3 months, his name will not come in the list. So that other donors can be donating, or if it is available or not available. So you can understand all these things will be done to the website. Then there will be a contributor dashboard. So anyone who is contributing, they can see whatever rare donors they have contributed to the rare donor registry. So this is the access, what all will be there. The institution name will be there. What is the ABO blood group, donor, group, and all, and everything will be put on the contributor dashboard. So this is in general broad working of the website. And of course, the forms and documentations, all these things will be linked to the website. So you will have donor consent form. Of course, that's very important. Donor has to give consent to be a part of the registry. Then request for rare blood donor form, blood testing form, contributor registration form, shipment form, transfusion reaction form, panel of registered panel requisition form. Then, of course, the letter for appreciation for rare donors. That all forms will be there in the registry. And I think maybe many more which I may have to add. Then this, see, anyone can ask who is going to do this. So we will have a coordination committee of Indian Rare Donor Registry. So as you know, we at NIH have one center. We have 4 regional centers which are doing. Plus, we will have a coordination committee of Indian Rare Donor Registry. All these, and this committee will include all the, I think, all big immunohematologists like you in the country. So it will be, and specifically from different regions of the country. So they will be included in the coordination committee. And this coordination committee will be responsible, will all play a role in website development, especially in the SOP for recruitment of donors, search, logistics, who can authorize the access and all. We will have meeting and this can be decided. Then SOP for the workflow, requisition, acquisition of rare donors. And the main thing is to create awareness about rare donors in the respective regions, recruitment of donors and referrals, especially for the antibody identification. I think this will be the last. We have to define rare donors for Indian population. Then preparation of reagent red cell panel, the distribution of reagent patch panel, which blood bank should be distributed, which should not distributed, how it should be distributed, how timely fashion it should go, all will be decided by all this committee. Then also we will have a technical committee which will resolve the complex serological cases, solve the difficult cases for confirmation, and also the main logistics like delivery and the all will be taken into account for SOP and the follow-up of the results of the panel distributed and all. So you can consider in turn all this coordination committee, which will include all the immunohematologists mainly from the country and plus the regional centers and our institute. So it's high time we work towards the development of registry at national level to cater the transfusion needs of Indian patients. And as I told you, we have already initiated some work. Currently, very initial stage, and because of COVID, I think the things progress. We must have actually done with the coordination committee, which we have not done because of this COVID. We wanted to call everyone in the institute and have a meeting. But because of COVID, I think everything, now we may have to go for a virtual meeting only. What all this will achieve? The database of blood group antigen profile of regular voluntary blood donors, identification of rare donors, preparation of indigenous red cell panel, and mainly the systematic compilation of rare donors from all over the country. I think this is the main. To some extent, everyone is doing to some extent each and everything, but the systematic compilation of rare donors from all over the country is very important. How you can contribute? This is for all people who are working in the blood bank. You can send some blood sample. If you find compatible cross-match, find incompatible cross-match due to pan-agglutination alloantibodies, non-specific alloantibodies, and multiple alloantibodies. You have, and if you have to cross-match with many blood units to find one compatible unit, such samples also you can send. So that these are all the things where you can, these will be the samples from where the rare donors should be identified more easily than a deliberate screen. So and if you want to confirmation of the rare phenotype with family studies, you want to confirm the rare phenotype by genotyping methods, and if you have the rare donors already identified in your blood bank, and you want to verify and you want to include it in the registry, plus if you want to do NGS and blood group antigen profile of those rare donors from many other blood group antigens and find the rarity of that particular donor, all these samples you can send, and we can plan. Of course, I have already told you, we plan to provide in-house screening cells to the interested blood banks. This is mainly to accelerate the search for rare donors. So I think we have to join hands for improving the transfusion services in India. Whom you can contact at present, I'm giving the names of the people who are already there at NIH and the regional centers, and of course the coordination committee of Indian Rare Donor Registry. So this is about the National Rare Donor Registry. In the COE, we have a human resource development program also. Why I'm just telling you about it, I think many of the blood banks were interested, because now the routine blood bank and basic red cell techniques, I think the institute has been doing for last 60 years. But the field of immunohematology has progressed tremendously, and various low and high throughput techniques are now being used to resolve serological discrepancy. And therefore, it's important to train blood bank personnel for molecular genotyping of blood group genes. So we will have a training program. Actually, this training program we are going to have in 2020, but because of pandemic, we couldn't call people. And this will be mainly to know the basics and the developments in the molecular and flow cytometric technique. Plus, we will take some advanced serological techniques to resolve the complex serological process. Then hands-on training and demonstrations will help. I think that is very important, especially for blood bankers who have not yet been exposed to the molecular techniques. So I'm just waiting for the pandemic to go, because I think the virtual meeting, virtual training, I don't know how much it will be possible. So the expected participants will be young MD transfusion students, medical officers, faculty from blood banks from all over the country. So this, I think we have initiated. Only the time I may not be able to tell still. So these are the different photograph and different, I think the faculty and institute staff, all, and some of our donors. So this was about the training program. As I already told you, we have already started a molecular immunohematology reference laboratory in our own way. Though high throughput techniques we have started just now. All 2 minutes only. So ABO, very simple genotyping assays for variants of ABO and RH blood group system have already been standardized, and we are referred already samples for ABO variants, and Bombay phenotype also molecular analysis. Then RH blood group system, as I already told you, Indian specific multiplex PCR has been designed and patent is in file, and these assays are now used routinely to confirm the RHD status. And I think we have collaborative studies with few of the transfusion medicine departments which regularly send us weekly samples for characterization. Then, especially for thalassemia patients, we have standardized methods for blood group genotyping for RH, DEL, KID, and Duffy and MNS blood group system. And these are diagnostically used to test to know the correct antigen profile in the multi-transfused thalassemia patients, as because most of the time the extended phenotyping is not done in the initial stages before transfusion in these patients. So this are going to be helpful to provide antigen matched unit to avoid elimination or to reduce elimination, I would say, to resolve complex serological findings in the patient. So because we will not know the correct antigen profile, and to know the correct phenotype in DAT positive patients. So this is only the gel photograph. Then we had initialized some minor blood group antigens where the commercial anti-sera was not available. So the Indian, Coulton, Diego, Mildenberger, and Domburg, these blood group systems, the simple methods have already been standardized, and because of this, some of these antigens can be now the antigen positive individuals can now be included in our red cell panels to identify antibodies against them. So with this, I thank, of course, the main important thing is all our precious rare donors and the ones which will come, and everyone who contributes to the success and of National Rare Donor Registry. And I would like to thank the ISTM to give me the opportunity to have this webinar in this time. Otherwise, in I think conferences, I had an aim to have a lecture or a lecture or telling कि we are going to have a national registry and how we will go about it. I think still we will talk over this. So I think many of the immunohematologists know we are going to have a national registry, and I personally need the cooperation from all of you, because it's a huge task, not one man's job, and I think all of us will take the things, and I think we have been waiting for a national rare donor registry. So I think I think all of you please cooperate with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swati. First of all, congratulations for the great work which you are doing. And I'm sure soon we will have a rare donor registry like you have started, and many of the experts are already in the in this program. So before we take questions and the comments, I request Dr. Shami Shastri. Who has started some similar program in Mangalore and at KMC, and I would like her to share her experience and her views on rare donor program. Dr. Shami is there?
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Shami, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. At the outset, I would like to congratulate Dr. Swati Kulkarni Madam and the team NIH for this wonderful initiative. And we are all really looking forward to it, and it's need of the hour. We had recently initiated a regional rare donor program. And for this purpose, we had screened 23,567 donors to select O group regular voluntary donors from this particular region, that's coastal Karnataka. So all these O blood group donors, we have screened them for 23 minor blood group antigens. And the definition that we have followed is the common one, that's phenotype, which is rare with the prevalence of 1 in 1,000. So we could find 23 different rare phenotypes, most of them what Madam has already mentioned in the lecture, and 40 donors with such rare phenotypes. So definitely we all would like to contribute to the National Rare Donor Registry and wish all the success of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Shami. Need everyone's cooperation.
Thank you, Dr. Shami.
You can actually send especially the rare donors which you have received. So screen for by NGS and look for blood group antigens. You can send to us, and of course you can include afterwards in the rare donor list.
Yes.
I'll talk it to you.
Thank you. Anybody has any question, comments? You can unmute yourself and ask your question to Dr. Swati. And I request Anisha to take the discussion forward.
Yes, sir.
We have Dr. Kushum Thakur. Please ask your question. Dr. Kusum, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, please ask your question.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Dr. Swati, I'm working now in a private medical college of university level. And few months back, we had one Bombay phenotype patient. And of course, we contacted Dr. R.R. Sharma and Dr. Avneet, they are nearby. So we got 2 of the Bombay phenotype donors. And we had one subtype of B and A group. So we wanted to send samples for molecular studies. So private medical colleges are included in the national program or not? Whether if they are not included, then what is the rate for molecular
You can
studies?
send the sample. For sample, you
Yes.
not a private or government or something. Or even if you are a contributor to the rare donor registry, it has nothing to do with a private or anything.
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
Contribute.
Shortly, we'll be sending 3-4 samples for molecular studies, so that we can publish the papers. That is the only formality left. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We have one more question from Elvis Alex. The question is, can institutes other than the regional centers participate in mass screening, and will screening panels be provided for such initiative? Ma'am, any inputs to this?
Screening panels, reagent red cell panel. Red cell panel for antibody identification, screening panel is going to be provided to many centers. So every regional centers has to choose centers to provide the panels in. For screening, you are saying now. So I think at present we will only go for the 4 centers for large scale screening, and then I think region wise, maybe next year we can think about going to some other centers, because at present it's only north, east, south side. I know India is a big country. We need more regions and more blood banks to get taken. But surely once we get over and you know the rare donors in our country, we may have many other genotyping methods to identify more rare donors. So that we will be looking for in the next.
Right. So I guess for the first phase, the regional centers would be getting the screening panel. No. I have one more query. Hello. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I have one more query. Whether samples are to be sent to the regional center and they will send it to the national center, or we can send directly to the national center?
See, if you are located near the regional center, it is more better you send samples to the regional center. If you are located near the reference center, you can send samples to us.
It's very near to the regional center.
Then no problem. You can send the samples to regional center.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay, no, then I just give my little bit comments. Yes. Okay, Dr. Swati, you have beautifully explained through your presentation about the concept of the rare blood group registry, and very nicely explained the rollout and the roadmap of how to go further with the help of these 4 regional centers which you have identified. But there are a lot of questions in my mind. I think the time doesn't permit me to ask so much question, but I find some of the significant omission as well as some challenges which have not been taken into account. Is that what happened to this rare donor if they need blood? What will happen to the people who are in emergency need of blood? why there is no mention about establishing a cryopreservation of the blood in these regional centers, which you have mentioned, so that the blood is available, this rare blood. It is not yet just looking for the donor. If we look for the donor, they may be sick that day, he will not be eligible to donate. They may be out of the country. So there are so many challenges are there. But keeping the blood in a cryopreservative state for a period of 10 years, both autologous as well as allogenic can be used. But nowhere in the rollout and the roadmap, this setting up, I'm not telling cryopreservation in every blood center, but this center which you have identified, they should be very much being taken, start the program. Second is that the transportation, how soon the transportation can be achieved from this center. So there should be very good air connectivity. Okay. I don't know why Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, New Delhi, they have been omitted from these centers. Okay. So there, from there, even from Delhi, you can get a connectivity to Agartala. But can you get a connectivity from Pondicherry to Agartala? Okay. It is very difficult. You have just omitted all those things. Okay. Those things have to be answered, and then only you have to go forward. So I'm very fearless. I think that the Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, and the Delhi has been omitted. We have to identify. Let these 4 centers be there, but we can add more centers. Okay. Yeah. Then I think these are just comments and suggestions, so that when you find it, do your further rollout and the program, those things should be taken into mind, and then we can find this thing. Okay. And particularly these donors who are doing so much of good work in giving their blood as a role, we should think about them also. If they need, where they will get the blood. At least have some autologous cryopreservation of their blood thing also, so that we can get. Anything you can just explain something about this.
I will just explain, because see, at present we are funded by ICMR for creating this registry. So this will be our next step for the cryopreservation facility. I totally agree with you. The cryopreservation of some very rare blood groups is very important. RH-NAL, D-dimer, they may not get blood for themselves. They can actually give their autologous blood for 10 years and then use whenever they will require. So this is in our mind. But at present, because we are not funded for that, because that also will require large funding. So if we are not funded for that, I was not able to tell about that. But that will be the essential next step. And as I told you, as you are telling about, because we are funded only for 4 centers, the thing is, in the next flow, this has to be, even ICMR has the idea that this should be expanded to many other centers. So it's not that it should be like that. So this was the first step. At first step, if you ask a very large funds, then I think that was done by us in the earlier years also. And then we did not receive the fund. So for this, at present, we have kept it to 4 centers, initiate the things, and then try for all these things. And I think cryopreservation, some other people are also doing. I think Armed Medical, in some army also, they have a cryopreservation facility. In fact, I was thinking for some samples, or some, especially RH-NAL or Bombay negative, or something very rare like that, they can be freezed at those centers initially like that. But I think in Maharashtra also, we actually we had a meeting, I think one year back, about disaster management, and in that they had a idea of creating a cryopreserved blood bank whenever you want to use for disaster management. So that time their blood groups were taken into account. They had called for a meeting, but I don't know how much the things progressed. And then with the COVID, I think the things may have stopped, or maybe they are regressing. So,
we are all behind you.
Yeah.
So we can do this thing, and the centers who can start, I think Kolkata Medical College or the PGI Chandigarh, JIPMER, they have, I think, the facilities and the infrastructure facilities also there, and where they can cryopreservation can start, because liquid nitrogen are available there, okay, in these sectors. So we can take this initiative.
Yeah, it's only the.
Of course, there's some challenges.
If we can actually ask for some more funds from somewhere, and especially for cryopreservation facilities. I mean, that also can be done at the initial stage if you want the things to be too early. So we can ask for the funding from some other centers for some other places also, not only ICU.
Thank you, sir, for your inputs. Dr. Sanmukh Joshi, sir, any concluding remarks from your side?
No, actually, it was a very nice and comprehensive presentation by Swati. And I only wish every luck to her and to develop that rare donor registry in India. And as she said, that it is cooperation to each and every one is required to enrich the rare donor registry. That's all.
I think that is more needed in the initial stage, and then we can take more blood banks or the more big blood banks to donate and contribute. So everyone has to come. But maybe at present, if I tell 100, for me also the coordination may not be easy. So at present, the big blood banks are taken into picture. But I think, and we have to choose only 4. Even I was expecting one to be from Central India. India is such a big country. So one from Central India or something, and one from the northeast part of the country. That was actually very important. But we could not incorporate those 2 centers also.
And we have to work out for that tribal area of Chota Nagpur, those areas where we can get a lot of rare blood groups, because they usually have the they don't have mixed up with the other normal population. So we should also take it into consideration.
Of course, you all are open and you can give me the suggestions for some to some extent, some small projects and all can always be done. There's no problem. But something like cryopreservation and all, I don't know whether at this stage I'll be able to tell you yes for that. That has to go through the project mode in the next.
Can I put one more point?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Swati has mentioned that there are quite a few number of cases where antibodies could not be identified. To that, I have to submit that probably it is reflecting our own limitations, as an antibody identification is a complex process. It involves absorption, elutions, and testing with various red cell panel. So actually, before we say that it is Indian specific antibodies, we have to rule out whether it is any of the existing antibody system. So that is the point that I want to make.
I totally agree. I was giving only the statistics what has been reported. I totally agree to it. But many of the blood banks don't do antibody screening identification. Even the cross-matching is not done completely like that. So there are some lacunae. So there is no question about it. So we will have a coordination committee, a technical committee which will look after and try to solve problems, so that I think we have to actually go and tell everyone you have to find or do antibody screening, then give for detection, and make a way that way the blood bank has to work. So we are trying to give some indigenous red cell panel so that they're cost effective and they start some antibody screening. So this is one of the efforts to identify rare groups or identify antibodies if they are available. Initially, we may go for the same antigens what the commercial anti-sera is giving. A few antigens like INA or MIA we can put up, and maybe then the regional centers can identify more antibodies, or an advanced red cell panel can be produced from our database once we screen for many more antigens.
It's true.
So we come to the end of this session today. It was really a very wonderful and informative lecture. And it is the time that we all take concerted efforts in right direction in building up and maintaining a rare donor registry. We as a YPF, we all thank all our honorable chairpersons, Dr. Snehalita Madam, Dr. Sanmukh Joshi Sir, Dr. Debashish Gupta Sir, and Speaker Dr. Swati Kulkarni Ma'am for the enriching session today. I thank all my YPF Scientific Committee colleagues for their support and cooperation. And the recording of this session will be available soon. Next session will be on 27th of January, and we shall now conclude this session. Thank you all for your kind cooperation and participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. for giving me the opportunity, especially ISTM.
Yes.
We'll end the session now. Thank you, everyone.